Okay, so as I was telling you about the book that has 10 practice papers, there's also the book for 11th and 12th, which has a lot of resources, including an online platform where you can go and practice your um, questions. Even your SQL can be done online. You don't really need to download anything. So that's why the tagline, now you can learn on your smartphone. So we go to question one. I'd like people to answer the first one. We start with an easy question. I hope you can all um, see everything. And Danish, thank you for letting me know that all's well. Bandana Devi, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. And we're going to start. So here goes the first question. I'd like you to answer so that we can move ahead. Okay, everybody, Danish has started with the first answer. C is the answer I got from Danish. Let me see if anybody else wants to answer this question. Yes, Bandana C. The others, even though they have the equal to sign, those are not assignment operators. They are comparison operators or relational operators. So, Netra, the answer is C. And the other question, the other three are basically this one, and this one. These are relational operators, not equal to, greater than equal to, and equal to equal to. So these are comparison operators. It's only this one which is actually an assignment operator. So not equal, all equal to signs are not equal. That means they can't, they're all not assignment statements. So be careful with this. We've got the next very simple question is, which of the following is an invalid identifier? Let's see the answers quickly. So the answer is C. Okay. Um, I don't know if Sayan Ruba is answering for the previous question or this one. Um, let's see more answers. Bandana says D. Yes. Anybody else wants to answer this question? Oh, yes. Sayan Ruba is saying D. That's correct. Danish says B. Okay. Anybody else would like to answer? Now, I would just quickly go over to, yes, D is the correct answer. Even though the other three look like, this one, A, B, and C do look like keywords, but actually they're not keywords. Raise is the only keyword here. Okay. And just going by to check out what are the keywords, we can go to this one and say import keyword and check which ones are actually keywords. So we can go and look at, so we get the whole lot of keywords here, and depending on which version of um, Python you're using, you'll be getting a whole list of keywords. So there'll be about 33 to 35, maybe even 36 if you have the latest version. It depends on which version you have. But if you look at all these words here, you will see that integer, float, index, none of them are actually keywords. they can be used. Of course, we tell you not to use them because obviously they're not a good choice, but raise is a keyword here. Okay, so going back now to the next question, a lot of you answered that as B. Don't get confused. Okay, and also some people ask. Yes, it's used for raising exceptions, Danish. That's right. A lot of people want to know what is the difference between variable and identifier. So, a variable consists of a name, which is also the identifier, and it also consists of a data type and a scope. So, that's a variable. But an identifier is just the name of the variable. So, if you're looking at a variable, it consists of these three things. But if you look at an identifier, it is only the name of the variable. Okay, so keeping that in mind, and raise is your invalid identifier. Okay, come to question 3 now. So we go ahead, and a lot of you are um, so for the previous question, you gave B, so you've got to be careful. That's D. Okay, so we now look at question 3. What are the possible outcomes for x modulo 3 if x is a positive integer starting from 0, 1, 2, etc. So x can be also less than 3 here. So what can be the outcome of this? So what I'm saying is that x could be any integer. It could also be 0, 1, 2. Okay. San Buba is saying 3C, which is, yes, one of the answers. Yes, good. Bandana says C. And yes, I'm getting a lot of C. So yes, everybody's got this. It is C. So even though the number, if the number is say 0 modulo 3, that's equal to 0. And if I say 1 modulo 3, that's also equal to 1. So it's actually, even if the number is less than 3, you will still get the output as the number itself. And that's how you get the answer C, that the number is going to be either 0, 1, and 2. And this modulus operator, even though it's a very humble looking operator, it's used at a lot of places, even in, getting down a huge number to a manageable number. They use it in crypto, and it's used when they're creating hash tables. So yeah, there are lots of uses for this. And a lot of you got this correct. Happy to see. Okay. We are going to now move ahead and look at the next question, which is given the following values, what will be the output of the following expression? So we have m is equal to 40, n is equal to 20, p is equal to 15, r is equal to 3. And I've given a very simple expression here because it's an online test, so I'm just going to go with a simple option of giving you a simple question. And let's see who gets the answer for this one. Okay. 4, Vandana says it's C. Okay. Yes, San Buba says it's C. Yes. Okay. Uh, yes, I'm getting a lot of C. Good for you guys. Everybody's working this out and giving me a good answer. Yeah. So it's an easy question. Yes, Ayush, it is an easy question. The only thing I wanted to just tell you here is the precedence of operators. So this question was mainly to kind of highlight that and tell you that there is also the associativity to be looked at. So whenever you are doing operator precedence, you need to see parentheses is to be taken first, exponents second, and exponents has a right to left associativity. So anything like if you have 5 raised to power, sorry, 5 raised to power 3 raised to power 2, you'll actually be solving this first and then raised to power 5. So that's why the associativity is right to left. And for the rest, it is left to right. So anything that is, this was a simple question as somebody's pointed out, easy question. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at the next question. Okay, this is the next question, which is where you have x is equal to 1, and if x, print great, else print well done. If not x, print that's right, else print this is correct. So what's the answer to this one? Let's see. Okay, San Guba says C for 5. Okay, Danish says D. Laksha says D. Okay. Anybody else would like to answer this one? Okay, we'll okay. So a lot of you have said D. Yes, D is the correct answer. And that's because if X is 1, it's actually true. Any number other than 0 is true. And if I say not X, then it becomes false. So for the first one, it's going to print the statement after the true statement, that is print great. And then in if not X, it's going to print this is correct. So it's going to print two things, A and C. So the answer is D. Okay, some of you have answered this as C, but the correct answer is actually D. All right, so yeah. Then we go ahead with the next question, which is um, identify the output of the following Python statements. Num is equal to 10 while num less than equal to 20 if num modulo 3 equal to 1, print num end is equal to dollar and num plus is equal to 1. So with this one, you have um, to do some actual calculations. So when you do it in the exam, make sure that you write this down and actually calculate it a little bit before you answer. So I'm also going to look at the answers for the sixth question now. So let's see what is the answer coming from the students. Yes, students. Vandana is quick on this one. She says B. Okay, Sumit says 6C. Sayan Buba says B. Vaibhav says C. Sumit says C. Okay. So let's work this out because some of you are saying C, some of you said B. Now, the first thing that you need to do is eliminate. So you're going to eliminate these two because they have 11, which when you divide by 3, you're not going to get 1. So you eliminate these two. So this one is to be done by elimination. Now, we're left with B and C. And then if you look at the condition here, it says less than equal to 20. That means 19 is actually included in this. So if 19 is included and if you say 19 modulo 3, you actually get 1. So actually you have to include 19. So that's the only difference between B and C. So the correct answer here is then going to be actually B. Okay. I can see that a lot of you got B and at least half of you got C in this one. We'll now look at question 7. What will be the output for the following code? Now, this is a question which the CBSE is very fond of. That is, they give you a string which has some numbers. Sometimes it has special characters, but I've just kept it as numbers and alphabets because it's an online test. So we can't have too much going on here. So we have for x in string 1, if x dot digit, then we have to check if int x greater than equal to 0 and int x less than 5, str2. We have an empty string with which we are going to concatenate the new um, character, and else we have str2 plus is asterisk, else we have str2 plus is equal to x dot upper. So which one in the 7th question do you think is the answer? Let's see who's answering this one. Okay, 7A. I've got 7A. 7D. Okay. Okay. A lot of you have come up with A, some have come up with the D, and one has come up with B. All right. A lot of you are A. Okay, that's great because actually the answer is A. And here I'd like to tell you that, this statement should because when you put something in the print statement, within the print statement, if you put a string, then it actually outputs only the text within the string. It will not output the quotes. So just to kind of give you a little insight in this, because some of you might miss that, A is the correct answer, and D, although it is the same thing, but it has quotes which makes it wrong. So you have to be a little careful. Everybody else said A, so that's okay. That's a wonderful thing that you got it. Uh, but just be careful that you don't think of the answer with the quotes. Okay, so print statement with quotes is not going to give you an output with quotes. All right. We move on now to the 8th question. What will be the output of the following? Another very simple question. Just that we are starting with this first mock test. I don't want to kind of have you feel very uncomfortable and distraught. So I'm giving you a simpler one to start with. So as we go further into our mock tests, we'll come up with tougher ones. So here's the next one where we have a string. We have the length of the string and we are going to print. So this is a slice out of the string, which is L minus 4 colon L. Okay, so let's see the answer here. Okay, 8 is B. Sandbuba is quick on this one. It's B. Yes. Anybody else wants to answer? Okay, B. Okay. I think this is simple and everybody got it because we've got to check out what is L minus 1 because this is going to be the last one. So start from here. We go to L minus 2, L minus 3 and L minus 4. Okay, so this is what we've got to take care of. So, yeah. All right, we got a lot of bees there. Good for you, good for everybody. So Sumit, I think you kind of forgotten that the last one, the E is L minus one, which will come in. Okay, so and Danish and Priyam and Teddy and Lakshay, Anonymous Channel, Ayush, Sanbuba is of course on it all the time. That's good. And Teddy, for sure, yes, it's B. So, what will be the next question is what will be the output of the following? Another favorite question with the CBSE is list and then append in a list, extend a list, and insert in a list, and then print the list with a um, the indexing and slicing. So that's one of their favorite questions. So I want to uh, put this in for sure, and everybody has to um, start answering this one. Okay, let's see. Ninth question. Okay, I'm waiting for your answers now. I'm waiting. Okay, Laksha comes up with 9B. Okay, let's see. B, anonymous channel says B. Okay, San Booba also comes up with B. Right. Okay, as you all know that I think you've done your revision. So this one is everybody seems to be on it. Bandana says B, Priyam says B, Netra says B, San Buba says B, Anonymous Channel says B, and Danish says B. Okay, great. So yeah, everybody got it. You know that append will take only a single either an element or an iterable, maybe a list. It could be a tuple, but it has to be only one thing. And it goes at the end of the list. So what you need to do in the paper is need to write down all these numbers and keep adding whatever has to be added. Okay, so we add 7 and 8 here. And then with extend, we just add the numbers from the list, right? And with insert, we are going to add at the fourth place, that is 0, 1. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and this is the fourth place. So we are going to insert 12 here. And because this is starting from minus, we've got to start indexing from minus 1, minus 2, 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, and minus 7. And then we've got to jump. So we've got to jump one place here, jump another place here. And because we are not going to include 2, so we finish off by going from 6 to 9. So we start from 12, go to 6, go to 9, and we get the answer as B. And a lot of you have answered that correct answer. Yes. Thank you for quickly answering that. A lot of you have answered that, and a lot of you have answered that correctly. Good for you, intelligent kids you all are. So we move on now to the next question. That is the 10th question. What will be the output of the following? And you've got to quickly give the answer. It's almost the similar one as the last one. I'm waiting for your answers, children, for the 10th one now. Okay, here's the 10th question. I'm looking for answers to this one. No, extend cannot take tuple as a parameter. So we can try that out if you want. We could try that out for maybe say take list 1 is equal to, and then we go to the next one and let's try this out. Oh, we did get it. So yeah, we can give a tuple. Yes, we can. So here's the Danish. I also thought so, but it's not. It is possible to extend the list because the list is not immutable. And here somebody started with the answer, the farmer. The farmer, are you answering for the 10th question? 10B. Oh, no, I'm talking. Somebody had asked a question, ma'am. Can extend function take tuple as a parameter? Priyam Basishta had asked, ma'am, can extend function take tuple as a parameter? Now, in a list, yes, it can. But obviously, this is a googly question, and the this question is basically just to confuse you. The name list 1 is just to confuse you that it's a list, but actually it's a tuple. So the answer is going to be an error. Okay, and this kind of a googly question, the CBSE is also given in the sample paper. So you better be careful because whenever you see list, it doesn't mean it's always, if you see the name list 1, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be a list. So yeah, you've not so I hope that answered your question, Danish. Tuples are immutable, Bandana. You're right. So basically what somebody else was asking was that in the extend built-in function, can we actually have a tuple? And yes, you can have a tuple also. But don't confuse that with the fact that tuples cannot be extended the way lists can be. So tuple does not have the extend built-in function. So this one is actually uh, D. It gives you an error. Okay. So we move on now to the next question. Uh, Again, a tuple here. And in this case, we are asking which of the following will give an error. So the answer was D, Ujjwal. And yes, Priyam, you're right. And yes, lists can get extended with a tuple because lists are mutable, so it's possible. But tuple cannot get extended. Okay, and yes, tuple does not support uh, extend. So error was the right answer, Ujjwal. Yeah, right. And I'm just telling you that this was another question that similar question was in the sample paper. So just for keeping that in mind that you don't make that same mistake again. Um, yeah, that I'd just given you this question 10. Now question 11, everybody. 11, all of these is A, okay? Only one is B, 1 and 2 is C, and D is 1 and 4. Okay. Um, I think this one stumped you because actually it is D, all right? Because we have a list inside the tuple. Always remember that the list can be changed. We can change the elements of the list. Okay, this and this are, so we can change zero element in the list and we can change the second element of the list. Sorry. But so the answer here is D. So because we also have this, which is actually not an index within the fourth element. We don't have D. We don't have index 3 here. We only have index 2. So this one is also incorrect and this one is obviously incorrect. So the correct answer is D. So you got to be very careful with what you're looking at. Not all are wrong. Yes, a lot of you answered that as A. Not all are incorrect because tuple 40 is actually a part of list, so it can be changed. Okay. All right. Should we move ahead now to the next question, which is a dictionary called history, and it has these key value pairs, and which of the following statements will result in an error? So this is, yes, Ujjwal, it was out of range. You were right. And Priyam, D was the correct answer. A lot of you actually, anonymous channel also gave the correct answer, D. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, my digital pen is nearly invisible. Lakshay, I'll make sure that you can see what I'm writing now. Okay, next time. I'll make it a little thicker for you. Now, can you see? Let me change the color. I think the color should be red. Now, is it visible? Why is it black? Okay, let's see the answers here. Okay, a lot of D coming in. Why D? Okay. So anonymous channel says C. Kushagar Sharma says C. Sayan Buba says C. Veena says D. Lakshay Kumar says D. And Ayush says C. Netra says D. Danish says C. Um, Molshri says D. Um, and Ayush, okay. Um, Bandana says C, yes. And Sumit says B, B, B. Okay. Actually, it's C. All right. Why? Because this one, uh, this this particular option is actually we are looking at a value here, okay, and values do not map to keys map to values. That's what a dictionary is, okay. So within the memory, the value, the key is mapped to a value, and it doesn't happen the other way around. So you cannot write the name of the dictionary and within the brackets you cannot give the key. That will not give you the correct answer. So C is the correct answer, and I can see a lot of you answered C. Good for you, people. And for the others, maybe I think you need to just quickly see this again, so that you can you are more familiar with why this is wrong, because the others are actually going to give you a number. So in B you are going to get what is era 2, it's 1, so it's going to give you 1707 plus 4. That's going to be your answer, and this one is going to multiply 1853 by 2. So these two are actually going to give you the correct answers. Okay, so you need to be careful when you're answering. You have to, yes, it is a key value pair and not vice versa. All right. We go ahead and look at question 13 now. What will be the output of the following? So this is the same dictionary. I've used something called the tuple constructor here, and I want to print this. So which one is going to be printed once I say changed history into a tuple? So print history 1853 was actually a value. So it's going to give you an error. Vandana, just to answer your question, child. Okay, we've got 13B, we've got 13A, B. Okay, Kushagar it says B, Bandana says B, Sumit says A, Anonymous Channel says B, and San Buba says A, Lakshay Kumar says B, Ayush says B. Okay, now the correct answer is B. Yes, it's B because when you create a list or even a tuple, it will take only the key values from keys from there. So if I were to write this one as if I were to write in bracket history dot values, if I were to write history dot values in the bracket instead of history, then it would have given me the answer C. But I've got just history. So that's why it's not going to give me the answer as C. It's going to give me answer as B. All right. So yeah, that's going to be the correct answer, B. Okay, we come to the next question. So what will be the output of the following Python code. You've got x is equal to 10.5, and we've got a function val, and it has no parameters, but it has a variable which is global x, and we have x is equal to 20.5, return x, print x end, and then print val end, and then we have print x again. Now I've just put that end parameter because I didn't have place on this slide. Otherwise, I would have just let it be. I just put that end there just to get everything in one line. Okay, Malshri, I don't know which values. Are you talking about the previous question, child? I mean, are you talking about the 13th question? Malshri, which values are you talking about in the 13th question? No, you'll get keys, but with the tuple, you'll get keys. If you write history dot values, then you will get values. Okay. So let's look at the 14th question. A lot of you are answering B. Yes. Sumit answers A. Okay. And Kushagar answers A. Anonymous is B. Ayush is B. Vandana is B. Sayan Uva is B. Um, Priyam is B. And okay, in history dot values, yes, small c, it will be values. Yes, you're right. And Danish says B, and Veena says A. Malshri says A. Now, just want to quickly tell you this one because again, global and scope is there in your paper, and it's there sometimes in two questions. So this whole thing is, you know, so the function questions, sometimes they repeat similar questions with different values within the question, so that's why I'm giving you this one. Now what happens is that once you get x over here, the value of x replaces the value of this outer variable once you've got a global x within the function. So what happens is that in case you've got a global variable, but if you call the function, only then this value takes place. So what happens is that if I've written print statement before I call the function, then in that case 10.5 gets printed. So at this moment, it does not have this value of x. So in this statement, it's going to write 10.5 because still we have not called the function. So the moment we call the function, that's when the value of x now changes to 20.5. So the moment I've changed, the moment I call the function, I have replaced the value of x as 20.5, and now the new value even after the function will be 20.5. So a lot of you answered B here. Yes, B is the correct answer for 14. Moshri, yes, B. Ujjwal, B, yes. And Danish, yes, B. Priyam, B. Anonymous, channel B. So, yes, B is the correct answer. Be careful about just the fact that is the function being called? If the function is called, only then it will return the value that is the global value from within the function. And after that, whenever we print that same variable, it's going to give that value, the new value. So if x is not global, then it's going to say 10. So we are looking at so Ayush asked me, what if this was not global x? Then what would happen? Then this value of x would have been, sorry, this value of x would have been, this would have been 10.5 in case x was not global. Then it would have not given 20.5. It's only when it's a global variable, it changes the value, replaces the value of that uh, variable outside, and also makes that same value part of every statement that you give. Okay, if it is local instead of global, I hope I answered that question. Then after the function call, the same value 10.5 would have been printed. I hope you got that right, because in that case it would have been C. In case it was not a global variable x, the answer would have been C. I hope that's clear. Yeah, Ayush, thank you for saying it's clear now. Okay, let's come to question 15. Okay, what will be the output of the following code? Now, here I've also given line numbers for a specific reason. We have a variable, we have a function change val, and we have two parameters out of which one is default. Another thing I want to explain, quickly tell you here, just to um, uh, in case you've kind of missed out this, that the default always comes after the non-default variables. It cannot be written before a non-default variable. It has to come after it. So if there is a default variable, it has to go after the non-default variable. So this is correct. So we have x comma y is equal to 20. And then we have another function def val x, which prints x, very simple function. And then we have an if statement which says if x greater than y, return val x, otherwise print x plus y. Return val x and print x plus y, else return y. Now, in this function, we pass only one value, which is 30, which is okay because y is 20. So, if you look at this, what should you get as an output? Sumit says 15b. Okay. Parmila Devi says D, and Sayan Babuba also says D. Bandana says A. Okay. Okay. Little confusion here. All right. Let me just explain this to you, children. Just one moment. Okay. With the answers, I'm getting a little mixed answers. Let me just clarify this for you. Okay. Now, because I've passed the value 30, so it's going to check because in these two statements, it's not going to look at these two statements before it comes to the if statement. Unless we call this function, nothing will happen. This function will just stay here. So execution of flow means that here this particular function will not be, not do anything till I come to this if statement where I check whether x is greater than y, which it is because x is 30, and then I return val of x. Now when I return val of x, I'm actually calling this function val x. And when I call this function, it's going to print x. Okay. And what is x? X is 30. So it prints that. I now want to know whether it will print x plus y or not. Will somebody answer that? Will it print x plus y? Will it give that as an answer? Will it print 50? I mean, will it execute line 6? I wanted to know from you as an answer. Would you be able to answer that question? Will it actually come to line 6 and print 50? Kushagar says no, no ma'am. Vandana says no ma'am. And Sumit says no. Yes, you're right. It will not go to line 6. And that's because it is also because it's gone to the return statement. Once the return statement is executed, no matter what that return statement is, Because it's in that return statement, we went to the function because there was a function called, does not mean it will come to line 6. It will not come to line 6. And good lot of you have answered it will not come to line 6. That's because once a return statement has taken place, it does not go any further. Don't get confused by the fact that the return statement has a function call. It does not matter. Whatever the return statement has, anything written after that is not going to get executed. And if x was less than y, it would have given this return statement, that is return y. It would have given this one. But now this statement is never going to take place. It's either this one or this one of the two return statements. Line 6 never gets executed. Now, in this case, it's going to answer, give the answer as B, as some of you answered, and a lot of you answered D, but that was not the right answers. Just gave you this question to kind of confuse you with that. So, I'm going to go ahead with 16th question now. So just once again, the answer is B, 30 only. Okay, does not print 50. Okay, coming to question 16 now. What will be the output of the following code? Uh, so import random, and I've given a list of Italian cars. You know, Punjabis love Italian cars. All their songs have Italian cars. No? So that's why I put all Italian cars in the thing. Yeah. Lakshya, the value of x was 30, bache. When we pass the value, change val, the value was 30. Okay. Just go over it again once later on, and then you realize that the value of x was actually 30, not 20. Okay, now what will be the output of the following code? Now uh, okay, Bandana says 16D. All right, let's see. Sayan Luba says 16D. Ayush says D. Yeah. I think this is something, and CBSE loves these questions. So you're going to get at least one question like this one. And great. I think everybody pretty much knows this one. Just going over it once again, 1, 2, and 3 can come from here. Any value out of these three. And in this one, any value from 2, 3, 4, and 5 can come from here. And so when you get these values, your lower and upper limit becomes either 1, 2, 3, and the upper limit becomes up to 5. So you can go from 1 to not 5, because 5 is not getting counted. It's the upper limit. So it's going to be 4 here. So you will go from 1 to 4. So when you look at 1 to 4, that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And anything which does not contain these 4 is going to be a wrong answer. The other thing that you also have to take care of is you have to take care that you keep in mind there's a hashtag at the back, and the thing should end with a hashtag. If this hashtag is missing, that is also wrong. So you have to be very sure that you also look at the hashtag. Okay, so the answer is D. both A and C. So A can happen when L is 1 and H is 2. So it will only take one value, so A can take place there. And of course, C can go from 1 to all the way up to 5. And so it will print 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It won't go to the fifth one. The upper limit never comes from range. You know that, I'm sure, by now. So the answer is both A and C. A lot of you wrote D's, maybe one or two of you wrote C, and Ujjwal has written A, Bugatti. Okay, all right. Look at this question now. Uh, the good news about binary files is that you will not get too many questions from, you know, too many. There's not too much syllabus. I mean to say this, that, you know, what would they talk about? They'll talk about the pickle module, they'll talk about pickling, they'll talk about serializing, which is the same thing as pickling. And what is pickling? Pickling takes place with pickle.dump. And what are the parameters of pickle.dump, and what is unpickling, what are the parameters of load. So Priyam, shouldn't you said shouldn't it be A? A is one of the correct answers, but so was the other one, C. So both A and C were the correct answers. So 17, somebody is written A. Okay, let's see. For the 17th question, 17th question, everybody. Pickle is already given. Okay, so be careful about that. Okay. Okay. I think you need to just go over binary file functions. You have to go over functions because there are only two, dump and load. Okay. Someone 100% certain about what? A 100% certain. Okay. Oh, sorry. A. You thought it's A. Okay. All right. Kushagar says B, and someone it was B. All right. Molshri says B. Yes, it is B. So you have to just know that dump takes two parameters. The first one is going to be iterable. It's going to be an iterable, either a string, a list, a, a nested list, a tuple, a nested tuple, whatever. And the second one is going to be the file handle. Okay, so remember, the first one is text or here, and the second one is the file handle. Remember that there are only two functions, dump and load. Just remember what are the parameters and what is the order of the parameters. That's what you should know, because you're going to get more than one question from here. So be prepared with these two functions. There are only two. As I told you, there's not much in binary, even though there is a lot in binary, but because it's a multiple choice question, there's not much, but at least the little bit that there is, you have to remember what is the order of these uh, parameters. Okay, now we come to the next question. The 18th question is a text file. It's a text file, and you have this code which opens this file, and we are going to count uh, the number of words. Now if you look at words which is read and split. What this particular statement is doing is it's converting this entire thing into a list of words. I hope you know that, because split is the kind of a rock star function that is used a lot with text files. Okay, so remember that. So we have split, and it splits words which originally, if we didn't have splits, words would have been a string. But now that we have split, it's going to convert words into a list of words as strings. So once we have that, we say for word in words, if len of each of that word in that list is greater than 2 and word 0 is in this string. Now be careful when it's written like this. It means that you have to consider each alphabet of this. So it can be S, it can be a capital A, it can be small s, it can be a small a. What word 0 means, that it should begin with that. All right. So let's see who wants to answer this one. What you need to do with this question in the paper is take your pencil, take a pencil actually, don't take a pen. Take a pencil and start looking at each row of this table. Okay. And mark out whether you cross it, you tick it, what you want to do with it. You have to look at each line with this in mind. That means the length of the word should be more than 2, and the word should begin with either a capital S, capital A, small s, capital small a. Okay, we got the first answer D, and second answer as B. Okay, remember, there are two conditions with an and there. There's an and. Okay. All right. So I think you'll be able to manage this one, right? Because what we are saying is look at all the words that start with either an A or an S, but do not count the words which have less than 2 lengths. So you can't count this one. Sorry, you can't count this one. You'll count this one. You can't, and you'll count this one. You won't count this one. Okay. You cannot count this one. You have to count this one. Okay. And you count this one, and this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I think a lot of you got B. So 6 is the correct answer there. Good for you. Yes. 6 is the correct answer. We're going to move on now to the next question. We have now, I have taken out questions in a way that we cover up everything, but there are also a lot of questions which are repeated. So um, I'm not going to do two of those. I'm just doing one of those. So we'll have about 24 questions today. So we come to the 19th. We're quickly coming to the end. So don't worry about more time. So we have here a text file which has simply got this one line slogan. Okay, so we have a one line slogan, um, Clean India, Green India. And so we have to open this, and now what they've done is we've created a list out of the string. Now if you can write and tell me what will be the value of V list. Can somebody type it out and tell me what will be V list? What will V list look like? Union Legend, you're going, okay, bye. I wanted to ask if anybody wants to tell me what will V list look like. I'm going to look at some answers. Yes. So Danish says it's going to look like A, capital A, capital E. Pramila Devi, AE has to be a string. Okay. It cannot be like without the quotes, because then it becomes variable names, right? But yes. So 19B, somebody has answered. Please share, discuss paper. Okay. 19B is 19B 6. Okay. Yeah, let's look at the answer. We have Molshri says B and Lakshya says B. Okay. Um, Okay, let's look at the first one. See, this actually, this live session is going to be there on my site. So, in case you later want to see it again, you can. And if you're talking about papers, then I think we have a whole book on question papers. You can actually look at that one. So, let's look at what are the words that will actually match. So, we have this one, and take your pencil in the paper and actually mark out. Okay, mark out. And this one. So six correct answers. One, two, three, four, five, and six. So again, six is the correct answer here. All right. So good for a lot of you got that one correct. Okay. And we'll move on now to the 20th question. Again, CSV has, as you know, there are three things you need to know within the CSV files. One is uh, the reader function, the writer function, and the write row. There are only three in your syllabus. So you should know what are their parameters, how are they written, and you should also know uh, that why is the new line parameter used, because in CSV files the CSV files handle the when we import CSV, it handles this backslash n in a different way, in the end of line character in a different way. It actually adds a backslash r also there. So ultimately what happens is that you start getting an extra line. So to avoid that, we should actually use new line is equal to um, this empty string, so that it does not give two lines at a time. So somebody has already answered the question C. People are on it. Yes. San Babu, why did you change your answer? Um, okay. C? Yes. Okay, let's look at the reader function. Now, the reader function is the function of the CSV module, and so we need to write CSV. Sorry, we need to write CSV here. Okay, we need to write CSV here, and here we use the file handle because the file name is already here and we need to open the file here, but the reader is actually going to use the handle. So that's why we have CSV file here. So that's what we get in the reader function, we have to pass the file handle. So it's C. C is the correct answer. And for CSV files, there's not much. So please do remember what are the exact parameters that you have to pass. Delimiter is just there to confuse. Otherwise, even if we don't give that delimiter, the same answer is going to be correct. So the answer is C, everybody. Okay, so that's the CSV and CSV file. Okay, let's look at the 21st question. Now, the 21st question is a question which is in 5 parts, but we look at one part at a time. Okay, and we start with this is a binary file we are going to open, and we are going to so what we want here is we want to, okay, let me tell you that we want to add data to this um, file. Okay, this temp file already has data. I want to add information. So that's what I'm saying. Identify the missing code in line 1 to add information to temp.pickle. Okay, remember this says add information. So which one is the correct answer? When I say add, you have to remember that we are going to add information. So it's already there. We are adding information. 21A, you have to read this question, okay? Identify the missing code in line 1 to add information to temp.pickle. Okay. So the answer is not A, it's actually B. If you look at the question which says add information, so you have to answer B. But you can't answer C. Why? Because in the question, it doesn't give you quotes. If it had given you quotes, then you wouldn't give this one. Then you would give C. Okay. Do remember that to check whether there are quotes here or not. If the quotes are not there, then you need to actually pick up the one which has quotes. All right. So I can see a lot of B's. Yes, Netra, B, B, B. Balbir Singh says B. Lakshay says B. Danish says B. Priyam says B. Anonymous channel says B. So everybody, Molshri says B. Kushagar says B. And Sam Mughal saying B. So a lot of you said B. Okay, and yes, B is the correct answer for line 1. We are going to move to the next part of this question. So this is the case study based question. I'm not giving the statement here because then that occupies a lot of place. Otherwise, you'll get a long statement. But at the end of the day, you have to look at the code and you have to look at the question. Okay, so the whole point is find the arguments in line 2 to input data to the binary file. Okay, again, we've done this before, so I think you should get this one. 22, append the data in the existing data, 22B. 22B, that is 21B, append the data. This is 22, which says fill the arguments in line 2. All right, so here in this statement where we have pickle dot dump, I need these two blanks to be filled. Okay, we don't need pickle, we don't need dump, we just need the parameters there. Okay, what is Danish says A, anonymous channel says 22D, and Dharmendra says B. Someone says A. San Buba says C. No, it's A actually. A lot of you see, remember, we don't have string. Temp is a variable. Why should we put it in the quotes? It's a variable. And file object obviously is the handle. So we've got to give the handle as it is. So we have A. A is the correct answer. It's going to be A, yes. Dharmendra Kumar, not D, 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 sorry. Molshri says A, yes, A is the correct answer. All right. Dharmendra says D again, but not D. You've got to see that it's not. First of all, in D, um, their the position is wrong. Okay, temp should be before file object, and their strings. We don't want strings. We want the variable name. Okay, look at question 23 now. Let's look at question 23. Again, the same question. This is a very simple one, which says identify the missing code to write the contents from the buffer to the file. Okay, let's look at identify the missing code in line 3 to write the contents from the buffer to the file. For 23, I'm looking for the answers now. Okay. Anonymous channel 23D. Parmila Devi says C. Abhay says C. Netra says D. And Morshi says C. Balbir Singh says C, 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 C. Okay. Yes, it is C. Those are just to confuse you. You never give anything in there's no parameters for flush or for close. Remember, there are no parameters. And close here because flush is not written properly. Otherwise, flush could have also been an answer. But here we're going to go with close. All right. And we come to the last question for the day. Okay. And what will be the output of line 4? I'm not doing line 5 because it's similar. All right. Let's see. We have temperatures given as values, and they're given as a list of two values. Now, I say the maximum temperature is max B dot values, and I'm printing this. So check out which one of these will be correct. Yes, let me wait for your answers. Okay, Danish says, ma'am, could you please talk a bit about flush? Now, flush can be used again in place of close. You can use flush, which doesn't actually close the file, but it writes from the buffer to the file that has been opened for writing. So, in some places, you don't want to close the file. You want to do something further. Maybe you want to move up the cursor with seek, and you want to read from there, whatever. So you don't want to close the file. In that case, we use flush. Okay, Danish, is that clear? If you really want to close the file, then we use the close option. Okay, so both of them write from the buffer to the file. Okay, now who is giving the answer to the 24th question? Okay, let's see what are the answers coming in. 20 D, June. D is not June. D, June. 24D. C for this question. Welcome, Danish. Someone. C for this question. Okay, let's see what else do we get for the question. 24B. Okay. D. Now, actually, the answer is going to be C. I don't want to take too much of your time. It's already been 1.5 hours. I don't want to stretch this any further. I'll tell you why it's C. Because all values are considered as one entity. Even if it's a list, it will be considered as one entity. Okay, so when I say maximum temperature is, it's going to give me the answer as C, which is actually the value that is there in this particular um, dictionary. The value is C. So we have to actually see that entire value because it's going to pick up the maximum value. So even if it's a list, it's going to output that as a list itself. So here goes the last answer, that is 2939C is the correct answer. All right. So that was the end of the, I've actually covered a lot of the syllabus uh, because that was supposed to be the aim, that I cover the entire syllabus and that you can actually um, revise. Even though I'm doing less questions, we revise the entire syllabus. I hope you've kind of uh, understood what went on today. We have another test tomorrow, which I plan to make a little bit um, tougher than the one today. Just maybe keeping same kind of questions, but maybe a little more, um, a little trickier. So I hope that you'll all join in tomorrow, and thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you. We'll stop now. We'll stream tomorrow at 5. All right? Tomorrow at 5 p.m. again. Tomorrow again at 5, Dharmendra. Soft copy of Vishwas. You'll have to ask Vishwas Publications, I'm not is responsible. Okay, someone, I will get 35 on 35. Good for you. I'm really rooting for each one of you. I hope each one of you gets 35 on 35. That's the whole point of doing these things. All right? See you tomorrow, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much.